Well, hello everyone. This is Teresa Parker, and you're listening to Area 58 Mysteries. And it's a podcast, but it's also like a reunion of sorts, wouldn't you say, Wolfgang?
Absolutely.
Okay, this guy right here, you guys, co-host, Wolfgang Moser, extraordinaire, and I'm going to talk to him today. I'm actually going to interview him, and Bigfoot hunters, Bigfoot researchers, perk your damn ears up. And meantime, let's cheers. Cheers.
Chin.
We're at my ranch, as you can see.
Oh, cheers to them.
Yeah,
too.
cheers to you guys too. Yep, 100%. You know, just little stuff.
Water.
Yeah, water. Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna. Never mind. Okay, guys. I'm gonna interview him because it's such an interesting. He's had such an interesting life when it comes to Bigfoot, and I can't even imagine all the things that he's seen. But we're going to try and get there for you. So, without further ado, Wolfgang, what I'd like to know from you is, I know you, in retrospect, when you got older, much older, you thought back to that time when you were, you know, like, what do you say that movie was like, your hometown?
Stand by Me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you had some really good friends, and
Yes,
you guys were out
absolutely.
in the, you know, woods, as kids will do. And tell us what you saw and how old you were and, you know, the circumstances. Just give me a little bit of that.
Where do you want me to start? At the beginning or
Just
or
start where,
my
okay.
sighting?
Yeah, well, you guys were out there fooling around in the woods. What happened?
Okay, well, the time where I realized it was actually Bigfoot was when I was having a dilemma with work and friend with my girlfriend, and so I
No, that's not the time I'm talking about.
What are
When you
talking
were a
about?
kid and you saw that real young.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it started that
All right,
beginning.
so that
Because
yeah,
chronologically, that's where this all begins.
Yes.
You just didn't know it until you got older.
I didn't equate it to being anything other than a small monkey. But my friend and I, we were in the backyard of his place, playing war, carrying on. We were very loud, and this was, you know, in Northeast Ohio, and
That's important to know.
yeah, and his house was, you know, there's a series of forests behind his house, and we went back there and we were playing, and suddenly we heard a tree shake, you know,
Like, was it loud? It was obviously loud enough to get your attention.
yeah, it startled us. We didn't know, you know, we weren't expecting anything other than a tree shaking, you know. So we looked up into the tree, and there was a monkey shaking a tree limb and looking us straight into the eyes.
How many feet do you think you were away, if you had to guess?
20 feet.
So pretty much up.
Yeah. I mean, we were probably 20 feet away, but yeah, we were looking at an angle, and it was looking at us, and it looked excited. And, you know, it was giving that face. It wasn't making any noise, but it had that, you know, that, ooh, you know, look to it, like while I was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Bluffing. Ooh, ooh.
Yeah. It scared us, and we ran back to his house, and we never really talked about it again.
How old were you then?
If I had to guess, probably 11 or 12.
And give us your best description of what you saw that day.
It looked like the cross between a howler monkey and a chimpanzee.
So a little thinner, but that small.
Yeah.
Thinner faced.
And this is Northeast Ohio, so why is there a monkey? I mean, there was no news in Ohio that I'm aware of.
Hold on. I have to stop you right there.
Okay, yeah.
Extraneous noises, guys. We're at the ranch, and
Yes.
my dog just will bark for no apparent reason, so I apologize for that. Now, continue.
Dogs and quail and rattlesnakes
She's all...
and mountain lions. They're all out here.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, badgers. We have badgers, deer.
Yeah.
We got everything. Bear. Okay.
You know what they say about honey badgers?
Yeah, that's right. They don't give up.
They don't.
No.
So yeah, it was nothing we really paid a lot of attention to. It just happened, and we moved on. You know.
So, just for shits and giggles, how many years, you don't have to tell me the story yet, but how many years until you, I mean, if you had to guess, how many years did it take you to go, holy crap, I saw something. Was it until that time you were about to tell in the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't until long after that, actually, that I thought maybe that it was, you know, when you think of Bigfoot, you think of Bigfoot. You think that Bigfoot are giant. You don't think that obviously these things, you know, are born and grow. So you're just automatically thinking that that Bigfoot could only be like a Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest, and this is Northeast Ohio, so
you had no even inkling that it could be there.
No,
okay.
Not at all.
So time moves on, and do you still live in the same area when this next thing happens? Okay, yeah. Same area.
Much older.
Much older. He's about 19, right?
19. Okay. Just graduated from high school.
I'll set it up just real quick. Okay. Yeah, I know the story, you guys, and I still get amazed, and we always find out something new somewhere along the way when we're discussing this thing. But he had a girlfriend. They weren't getting along. He wanted to disappear for the evening and kind of give her, you can't get a hold of me, no way, no how, you know, comeuppance, right? Sort of a situation like that. Mm-hmm. So he goes to his favorite spot and wants to camp like so minimalist that he doesn't even, you have a blanket, a pillow?
No, I didn't bring a pillow.
Okay, start from right there. You decide you're going to go out there, and this is near his home.
My two very good friends at the time, and I still consider them friends. We don't really talk anymore, but they were good friends. They offered to take me out there because my car was in the shop getting fixed. So they helped me set up my camp, there's not much to it. They helped me set up the fire. I have a blanket. I brought a machete, and I have, you know, those old mag lights, those little black mag lights you could buy at Kmart or whatever. Yep. That was my flashlight, you know, and a big lighter, and you know, there really was
something to eat.
Yeah. No, I had already eaten, and I didn't plan on staying a few days, so there was no food. I just went out there, and they helped me set up, and I asked if they wanted to stay. They said they couldn't because they had to get to work in the morning. And so it was just me, and this was a spot that I spent my whole young life going to with my friends, and it was located just above a coal mine, a series of coal mines that allegedly follows all through town. So like underground follows through town. In fact, there was a house at the top of the road that was slanted. And I was in this house too. They built on top of the mine. So like we walked in this house, and you could tell that you're at a slant, like walking in the living room, because you know,
like a fun house.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost.
So it was appealing because there was a series of pine trees on top of this series of caves or mines, and all the pine needles settle, and so you have an instant mattress. So like that's why I only took a blanket. There was nothing really else that I really needed to get, you know, a good night's sleep.
Fast forward, you make a fire, go to bed.
Yeah, make a fire, go to bed, and around 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up suddenly, and I feel quite uneasy. I don't know why, but I know that I don't feel right. And I'm getting cold. I think it was close to fall, like around August, September. I never jotted down a date. I didn't have the insight to do that back then. So I start blowing on the fire, and that's when it happens. There's a scream lets out.
Describe the scream, because you told me that we were just talking about it. It was either yesterday or today about how the description you heard was the description for what you heard, which was a howl screech or screech howl.
A screech howl, but it had a lot of bass to it too. And the best way to describe it, the only way you can really understand it is that it reverberates through your entire body. So like when the scream happened, you're feeling it in your nerves, your nerve endings,
chest.
the hair on the back of your neck, I used to call it spidey senses. The hair on the back of my neck was standing up, and I was in a state of instant shock because, like, what is this? What is this going on?
Wow.
And so
I can't even imagine.
So a scream happens, like to my 2 o'clock, and then a scream happens to my 7 o'clock, and
so directly opposite, pretty much of each other.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is this? What could this be? And they basically are trading off screams, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. I'm still sitting on the ground.
Oh God!
And I had glasses at the time, so like I'm rushing to put my glasses on to see, and not knowing what to do. I'm thinking all the things that my dad told me about being in the forest, and make sure that, you know, whatever it is, you don't run. You don't run from a wild animal. So that's what's coming to mind right away. And so I'm just sitting up and trying to decide, like, my next move, because I feel frozen in fear.
Like stuck in cement, like you cannot move.
Am I even going to be able to stand up at this point?
God.
And so, and that's when this happens. Something runs through my camp, adjacent from my camp. It's not running at me, but it's definitely running parallel in a direction where it wants me to see it. Mm. So I don't see its face, but I see that it's humanoid and hairy, but it's not moving like a human. It's
How so?
I like to equate it to being like spider-like. It was like
smooth,
the smooth, and it's, you got to understand that it's running through trees without a flashlight, and not running into the trees. So like it knew this area obviously better than I did it. If I would have run through that same series of trees, I would have, in that dark, I would have smashed myself. Yeah. But I got probably a 2 or 3 second glimpse of it, and I just knew that it wasn't
human.
Yeah. And so it's running directly in the direction of where the other scream is coming from.
Okay.
And so that, you know, I'm even more shocked. I'm still sitting on the ground and trying to decide what my next move's going to be.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Was the first screams you heard that woke you up, or didn't wake you up, but got your attention, the first ones, were they the same screams as this, or were they screaming when he was running past you?
No.
Okay, just running super fast.
You know, at that point, it was just running. Yeah. At that point, it was running.
I apologize for my dog, you guys. What's going on is she's got rat terrier in her. We're out here in the country, and coyotes come out here all the time. And what happens, she sticks her nose up in the air and smells it coming, and I don't know how I can get her to stop. So I'm sorry, really sorry. There you go.
We heard the coyotes last night.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, they're out there all the time.
Yeah.
So he ran past you towards where you heard the second one. What happened next?
In the direction that it was running to, there's like a little alcove or valley, that leads to the road, and then across the road there's another area where, you know, like they would definitely find safety in
thicker.
Yeah, it's thicker.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, this thing ran. It wanted me to see it, and then obviously the screaming continued. So like once it got to that area, and I'm still sitting there trying to figure out what I'm going to do, it's still screaming, and thankfully it was running in a direction that was opposite of where I came in at. So there was a path that I had come in at to get to my camp.
Was it sounding like that? Sorry.
It was much scarier.
Just I'm sure she's a little pipsqueak. Anyway, so
it.
Pardon me.
Yeah.
Keep talking amongst yourself. Keep telling the story. I'll be right back.
Okay. So basically, once the thing ran past and the screaming continued, I would stand up and slowly make my way out. to the path that I came in at, and like I said, I had the little mag light, which, if you knew mag lights back then, they weren't very bright. They had just enough light to get you through. And I started to make my way out slowly until I got to the road, and I booked it.
Oh, so tell me, where did you go?
About a half a mile up the road is where I grew up at my parents' house, and I was pounding on the door at probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and my mom answered, and I told her what happened. My dad was working nights, so he came in the midst of this conversation. My dad being a hunter and a fisherman and a mushroom hunter, and spent way more time in the wilderness than I ever had. Listen to me talk about seeing this monster in the forest, and you know, I would never expect that he would believe that. I don't think that he did at the time. I think he probably thought I had a bad dream.
Yeah, out in the woods.
I think mom believed me, but you know, that became the beginning of my turmoil, was knowing something that nobody else knew, or nobody that I knew that I could relate to. Keep in mind, this is before the internet. This is before all.
Oh, we forgot to tell them about 90.
Yeah, this was 91.
90? Yeah, 91. Okay.
This was before the internet, so you couldn't find fellow Bigfooters or people that could relate to or had experiences like this. You had newspaper articles, you had books. That's about it. That's all you had.
Libraries, yeah. So okay, so you've told your parents. Let's cut to the chase of the next day. Mm-hmm. You've left all your stuff there, and you enlist your friends to come with you to go back out there. And what happens?
I asked them to help me go pick up my stuff, and my one friend said, I'm not going to mention names here.
Yeah, no need.
My one friend says, well, fine, we can go out and get your stuff, but if this really happened, let's go out there and camp and take a tape recorder. And
somebody was thinking, huh?
You know, and I've always wondered myself, why did I go out there again? Maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know.
Safety in numbers, you feel better.
Safety in numbers. I was with my buddies, you know, and so I just thought, you know, lightning does not strike twice in the same place, so it's going to be fine. So my two friends, they pack up. My one friend, he's a Boy Scout at the time, and so like he loaded us up like he worked at a grocery store, and like he had a Coleman cooler full of hot dogs and hamburgers and buns and chips and all the stuff you take on a really good camp out. So like it was way more than what I took on the first night, and we got the recorder. So we get out there.
So it was 3 friends all together. I mean, you and 2 guys.
2 guys, yeah. And so we get out there. My stuff is still there. I mean, untouched. I even left the machete. You know, I mean, there was no way I was picking up a weapon on that first night, like to feel like a threat to whatever it was. Oh, I need to mention too. I forgot. On the first night, this is very important. On the first night, whenever I got up and I started to walk out on that path, all the screaming stopped.
As soon as you started to retreat.
As soon as I retreated, the screaming stopped. And that gave me, as fearful as I was, that gave me some sort of peace of mind. You know, I didn't, you know, there are so many stories of these guys that get paralleled out of the forest or even chased out of the forest. That did not happen to me, thankfully, because I would have probably had a heart attack at that point. But so we're out there, we're camping, having a good time. I'm to the point of thinking, there's no way that this can happen again. Everything seems normal, like it normally was whenever we would go camping with my friends. Yeah. Like there was just, So we went to sleep, full bellies, you know, and the fire dies down at around the same exact time. It all happens again. And I'm again,
By happening again, you mean what?
I wake up feeling uneasy again. So my theory about that is the scream happened. And
Before you woke up.
And that's what woke me
yeah.
up.
Well, that would be one way to feel not easy, but
Yeah.
I do you think they could have been making infrasound and causing you to feel that within your body?
Yeah, could be.
You know, that whatever.
Because I'm a light sleeper as it is, so I'm surprised that a scream like that, didn't instantly wake me up. So maybe it was infrasound. I don't know. But
it's a thought anyway.
At 2:00 in the morning, around 2:00, I wake up, uneasy feeling. It's cold again. Start blowing on the fire to stoke it, and
you're thinking Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
At this point.
And the screams start. And my friend Randy's sleeping across from me, and I asked him if he heard that, and he didn't answer at first. And then the scream happens again, and I says, "Did you hear that?" And he said, "Yeah, I heard it."
God.
So
how close do you estimate they were this second time?
I mean, as close as the time the night before. But the thing is it was probably 50 feet away with the screaming that was coming. The one in the distance, obviously it was a more distant scream, but the one that was directly before us,
Close.
it was more profound, and you could, like I said, you could feel it. So my friend said, yeah, I could hear it, and then he asked my other friend if he heard the scream, and he's not responding. And
there's no way you couldn't have heard it.
There's no way you couldn't have heard it. So my friend kicks his cot, and he says, yeah, I heard it.
Just couldn't talk at
He just couldn't talk at the moment. So the screaming continues. My buddy has the Radio Shack recorder right next to him, and he hits record, and we're, they're asking, what should we do? And I said, well, last night I just got up and I walked out. And so that was our plan. Thankfully, the path I was talking about. It's like, it was like an oil pump path. So like there was another path that connected to that where my friend parked his truck. So we didn't have to go very far.
You went in more with...
Yeah, we went in more with the vehicle. And so my buddy's recording this. Again, we don't grab any of the stuff. And we start walking towards the truck. And again, just like the night before, as soon as we get far enough down that path, the screaming stops. And then we drive off. And then, like I said, we left everything there. So we went back to our apartment that we were living in, and we listened to the recording. And unfortunately, we were novice with Radio Shack recorders, and like a bunch of dummies, we had cranked the volume all the way up, thinking that we would capture more noise. We captured more noise, but it was the noise of the motors in the recorder.
That's a bummer.
But you could still hear the screams, so it could have been better.
If nowadays, we have lots and lots of examples online of what people say are purported Bigfoot screams, howls, whoops, you name it. If you could, is there a howl out there that you could go, that's what it sounded like, that people could reference?
Yeah.
I mean, kinda, similar. I don't mean exact, obviously.
My favorite recordings I've heard came out of East Texas that sound very much like what I heard in Ohio, same Houston National Forest. Those are my favorite that I've heard so far. There was 6 minutes of howls and gibberish and screams recorded all together. It wasn't separate. Time. It was at one time, and they call it Jurassic Park there.
Yes, they do.
And that's exactly what it sounded like there in Ohio. So when I finally heard that, I was like, that's it. That is exactly what I heard. That is what I had nightmares about for about 25 years. It was pretty intense. And
on that, particular note, do you have any advice for a newbie? What should a newbie do who's just had an experience, their paradigm has just shifted, their mind is blown? What could they do? Seek out like-minded so they have at least someone there to say that they believe them? I mean, tell me what would have made it a little better, easier maybe for you if you'd only had the internet back then to, you know.
See, I suffered torment knowing that if I talked to anybody about it, they would make fun of me. I told certain people that I thought I trusted, and they thought I was a fool. And so now that the internet's out there, and you have all these different Bigfoot groups, and there, many of them are good. Some of them suck.
Yeah, right.
But many of them are good.
Many of them are good.
And actually, just reaching out and telling you're describing your story or whatever, if you've had an encounter or whatever, you'd be surprised. A lot of people are willing to listen objectively.
Do you think that it just makes it easier when you can find somebody who maybe has been through something that you have been through, not necessarily someone like me? I've not seen a Bigfoot. I got my first howl or my first whoop the other day.
You did.
Or woo.
Yeah.
I call it a woo. It wasn't a whoop. It was a bell curve. But
and that audio sounds just like what I've heard before. So
I'm amazed.
That sounds awesome.
And no idea. Anyway, Northern California, Sierra, recently. In July, actually, but what I was going to say was, of course, it would be great. Your friends, the people you most love, would you say, yeah, I believe you or whatever. But if you don't have that, and you can't say find someone that you actually know that had an experience, even talking to somebody like me would be better than nothing, right? Just to get it out. Like Absolutely. The more times you tell your story, the less traumatized maybe you are. And
that helped a lot.
The easier it became.
Once the internet came out, and once I met some people, like the first person I met that was related to Bigfoot was Robert Morgan, and I was unaware of who he was, and I didn't know about Bigfoot communities, but he made a documentary in California. Mm-hmm. He made several movies. I didn't realize he was kind of a big deal, but he was in Canton, Ohio, and he came to take our report. And so...
How lucky is that?
It was very lucky because I had a lot of things inside that I needed to get out that was really bothering me about the whole experience, and he was always there for me.
That's fantastic. So that's what helped you initially.
Yeah, it helped me. And before before there were forums, I think BFRO was out at the time, and I started reading that stuff and reading how similar other people's experiences were. Mm-hmm. That helped me, mm-hmm. reading like, wow, okay, so most people in the 80s and 90s were like, Bigfoot's this beautiful creature that protects us in the forest or whatever. Yes. And it's not, it's a wild animal just like a bear. And you don't know if it's going to kiss you or kill you. So I
don't want either one of them.
No, I don't.
That hairy mofo.
But yeah, it was fascinating to talk with Robert, and like even when I moved to California first, which was around 2002, I had his email. I also had
Has
Peter.
He passed since?
No, he's still around.
Oh, okay.
And also talked with Peter Byrne, who was
heavyweight. Yeah,
he was a big deal, and he just recently passed.
Well, let's reel it back and go to so you went and got your junk the next day, right? Y'all went back there in the daytime.
Yeah, the next day we got our stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So time goes on. You're having trouble sleeping. You're having nightmares,
mm-hmm.
But speaking about it, getting people to talk to you, people to believe you, all that stuff. Let's fast forward if you don't mind, unless there's something in the middle. But then you start really meeting up with people who've been there, done that. Now this is not that many years ago, right?
No, it's not.
All right, let's go there.
I would say just in the past 10 years, like once the podcast came out. Mm-hmm. So Sasquatch Chronicles West Germer. I'm pronouncing that wrong. I apologize, Wes.
The Outlaws.
The Bigfoot Outlaws. The Bigfoot Outlaws were profound in my understanding of these things. At first, I thought they were kind of full of shit, but they aren't. They really aren't. They had a lot of wisdom to offer.
Man.
And Bear,
Kubo.
Bear and Kubo. Bear invited me to a big an outlaw camp out in Kentucky, on the border of Kentucky at the LBL, and I met two of the most profound Bigfoot people in my life, which was Kane and Eric, and those guys showed me things in the forest that I never knew to look for, and out of respect for them, I would never mention it on here, but they would probably be willing to show you because they're very sharing guys. But
we'll have them on for sure.
Yeah.
If they want to come on, we'll talk about it. If they want to share whatever they want to share, their
yeah.
experiences would be great.
So,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They came out to, or we had our outing in Kentucky, which was awesome, and we had some activity there. And then and they came to my original sighting area, and they showed me all of these things, that these things were still there.
What specifically did they show you that you were like, oh?
Well, they showed me some tracks. Mm-hmm. They showed me tracks.
Little trails or something too?
They also showed me some structures that these things set up from time to time. Wow. They are able to find a trackway for these things within just walking off the road into the forest. Mm-hmm. So immediately they came to my area when it had just freshly snowed the night before. So I knew that these guys did not go in before and like find things, like mm-hmm. This was fresh to them too. We all went in the same way and tracking up the same snow, and they were showing me these things, and I was like, when I finally met those guys and they showed me stuff in the area where I had camped that proves that these things were there. That was full circle for me. That's when the nightmares ended, because I had some kind of vindication or validation, mm-hmm. and these guys showed me, and Eric and I went camping in that same area like a couple of years after that, and we had a strange experience happen there as well.
Tell us about that. Yeah, lay it on us.
All right, so Eric, I think we were bored.
Where are you talking? What area were you going to be in? That's the first thing people want to know.
I'm just going to say.
Yeah, you don't have to say specific.
Okay, I'll just say off of Route 30. It's very close to Minerva Monster. Off of Route 30 in Northeast Ohio, Canton. I'll give you that much.
A lot of land out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of land.
There. Yeah.
So we went to go camping for a weekend because I think we were both bored at the time, and Kane was unavailable at the time. So we went out and we started walking into the woods. This is broad daylight, keep in mind. And I had... Oh,
by the way, I'm putting this on record. He's promised to show me this place.
Oh, yeah, I will.
Yeah, so yeah. I got you guys as witness, right?
So we start walking into the forest to that area where I once camped, and I told Eric, I was like, I really have to take a leak back here, and I said, just go ahead, I'll catch up.
You're on a trail or something?
We're on a trail. I'll catch up with you. He was like, fine. So he starts walking, and I'm there doing my business, and I hear something that sounds like Eric walking on the other side of me, and I'm thinking to myself, there's no way that he made it all the way around, but it sounds like him walking. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was obviously bipedal. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's weird. So I just, fixed myself up, and I started walking in the direction that he was walking to. Mm-hmm. And then I spotted him, and I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. Then what was that, a deer, or what was that? And then I'm like, I'm not even going to mention this to him, because if I mention it to him that, I think, something bipedal was walking near me whenever I was taking a piss, he's going to think I have Bigfoot on the brain, and just mm-hmm. shut up, man. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're here to camp. So I catch up with him, and right when I'm just maybe 20 feet away from him, a rock comes sailing over the trees, right over our heads, and like maybe 20 or 30 feet in front of Eric. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I says, I wasn't going to tell you, but something was going on back there. And so, yeah. So that's really the most that happened on that trip. But
that's enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was enough.
That puts you on your toes the whole entire time.
But I think it was,
wow.
I'm pretty sure it was after that, Kane and Eric and I, we went to Wayne National.
Where?
Wayne National Forest in Ohio. And
we got bugs and everything, man.
Yeah.
Ambiance. Whew.
And so we went in pretty deep. We're pretty far away from our vehicles. And,
So if you had to guess, a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, what?
It was probably 3 or 4 miles.
Yeah.
But we're up a hill, like really up a hill.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like somewhere that hikers or campers are not going to go to.
Yeah, no.
So I'm hearing, Wolfgang, come look at this, you know, because I'm behind. I'm always like taking pictures. I'm always the guy last in line.
I'm the same.
Which you're not supposed to be. Don't be the guy last in line, but I like to take pictures. And so they're, come check this out. So I get up to where they're at, and they show me this giant structure. And I was like, ooh, that's interesting. You know, like, I wonder what fool came out, hiked out here and did this. and they were like, well, let's just camp right here. So they had found a trackway, and they showed me different
That's not
things.
exactly, we want to be friends. That's
No.
like disrespect, isn't it?
That's pissing on their territory is what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So they showed me other things too that revealed a trackway, and I was like, okay, fine, we'll camp here. And I'm thinking, I'm just here to camp. You know, I camped with these guys before, and nothing happened. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but that night something was going to happen. It was dusk, and Kane and Eric don't realize it, but they talk very loud in the forest.
For camping,
And
yeah.
so we're not even talking about Bigfoot. We're talking about careers and politics, and Eric's talking about some travels that he did that I was fascinated with, and that's what he was talking at the time when this happened. And suddenly, not far from our camp, 30 yards or so, but keep in mind there's a lot of brush, so we can't we can't see it happening.
Yeah.
But a tree, which sounds like a fresh tree, snaps and falls over. And so, of course,
And that pierces the air. Just
So, Eric and Kane and I, we just look at each other. We're getting real quiet, and then I asked them, I was like, "What do we do next?" And they said nothing.
Act like you
Yeah.
own the place. Just
Yeah.
keep talking.
I said, "Why?" They said, "So they do it again." So I'm thinking to myself,
Trying to get your attention.
Yeah. So this is going to be a really long night. So we're hammock camping. We all have our hammocks up, and there was one point. I'm thinking this is going to be a bad night where they're going to be very aggressive, and I brought like this green laser a friend of mine showed me, and it's like a really powerful laser. Like, I mean, you could shoot it to the moon basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed Eric, and he points it up in the air, and right when that happens, you hear a whoop, and then a tree knock.
Oh, how far away?
Oh, not far at all. I mean,
Like just outside where you could
outside
see.
the camp. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And all for
they were watching you
all night.
all eyeballs on you.
We had audio going all night, but you could mostly hear tree frogs because we were really close to like a pond. And I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be a really sucky night because we're so far from the cars. These things are going to be aggressive and shitty.
And you've heard too many stories of people getting scared out.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you were scared out once, so twice.
I was pretty alarmed at the time that this was going down, but it all like tapered off. It seemed like they got interested in other things, which is great. But that night, I mean, Kane and Eric both fell asleep
Oh, I'm
before I
sorry, you
did.
guys. I have something's going on over here making noise. I really am sorry. We don't have a studio, and normally I'm inside, and normally it's quiet, but that is a hot tub going off, and that's a dog, and I'm sorry. And
So
proceed, mister.
We're all laying in our hammocks, and those guys fall asleep first, of course. These guys have done way more camping than I have.
With Bigfoot around.
With Bigfoot around.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm on alert because I want to know if something's going to go down. I want to know about it. I don't want to wake up and have one of these things like looking over me in my hand. I don't want to be, as they call it, a Bigfoot burrito. So I'm laying there, kind of.
It gives me
I'm
chills.
nervous.
Kind of, honestly, what you just said gave me chills because I'm thinking.
Well, this has happened to them.
Yeah, but that's why I don't want to be
Yeah.
in a hammock because I'm afraid of having,
One of the Bigfoot outlaws had
Harry
that happen.
look over me and.
Yeah. Somebody woke up and saw one looking right down at him. So,
Of course, he was 10 feet in the air looking
Yeah.
at us, long ways away.
Right,
No, I'm
right.
kidding. Anyway, yeah.
So it was. You're
on alert.
I'm on alert, but I'm hearing these things all night long, doing things around the camp, but not like aggressive. They aren't like throwing rocks or doing anything that's alarming. And then I became comfortable. I was like, they're so busy doing their own thing that they don't care about us. So
Yeah.
the last thing I heard was at dawn. I heard one final
Whoop. Oh.
like calling it in,
Mm-hmm.
and
Time to go.
nothing after that.
Wow.
But all night long, I heard tree knocks and whooping noises, and
So.
but it turned out to be uneventful. I mean, it was eventful in those things going on, but I didn't see anything. They didn't see anything. But
There's all kinds of theories about this stuff, obviously. We don't know why they do what they do. Some people think they know, but until you actually are able to communicate and ask, how do you really know for sure?
yeah,
But my question along those lines then is, do you think... Well, first off, I don't think you said, when it was the three of you guys there the next night, the first night you get scared off, you bring three guys, now I'm reverting back to the other story, but when the two other guys, so there's three of you, the first night you saw one and he let you see it, he wanted you to see it.
Yeah.
The second night, they didn't let you see it.
Yeah, we didn't see one the second night.
As just like this trip, there's
Right.
three of you,
Yeah.
and they didn't let you see them.
I think it's something about like if it's just
Safety in
one
numbers.
person,
Yeah, because I'm hearkening back to, I like to do shout outs. I was just heard Base Camp Chris's new story about the guy, and he was all alone, and he got the shit scared out of him. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking that might be something. Maybe people
Yeah.
out there who have Bigfoot stories. If you have a Bigfoot story or any paranormal story, I want you to reach us at area58mysteries@gmail. I will either read your story on air or you can come on. I mean, if you got a compelling story, let's talk, So I wanted to get that out there because that makes me wonder why they do certain things when they do it and don't other times. That's the reason why I asked you the question, because I've always wondered that. What makes people get big old rocks thrown at them and other people...
Yeah.
Like you guys were left alone. They, excuse my language, they screwed around with you.
Yeah.
But they didn't. I mean, they just screwed around on the outskirts, is what I'm trying to say. They didn't show you or didn't make anything super overt to make you, like, throw big rocks so you'd have to leave,
One of
Safety.
the things that it took a while for me to learn is Bigfoot, the species, North American ape, are very much like people. You have very good people, you have bad people, you have normal people that just have really bad days.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that you're going to have very different encounters. That's why a lot of the encounters that I've heard sound very similar, but the ones that sound offbeat, like why did it happen that way, I kind of believe those too, just because like they encountered a very different type of
And it was also
character.
their behavior too,
Yeah,
right?
Right. It was their behavior.
I mean, that's the
and how they act. It's like the same way if you interact with a wild animal. Like it depends on your fear factor and or your courage factor. It depends on your confidence. How you. If you run, obviously, there's a very good chance that something's going to chase you down.
like that guy that had that mama
Yeah.
mountain lion,
Yeah.
and she bluff charged him over and over and over and over. And the part you don't see is, I think, the part where he throws a rock at her.
Yeah.
Because you don't really see that, but then she goes, all right, I get the picture.
Yeah.
Her babies were way down the road. She followed him a long way. That was a
Yeah.
scary situation.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I guess the moral of the story is you're never going to know until it happens to you, and then you're never going to know what you're going to do in the moment and what they're going to do in the moment. And it seems like cool heads prevail.
That's true.
Best you can manage in a moment like that, in which I don't know if I'd be so damn cool, but I try to be like you a little. I try not to panic anyways.
Yeah.
The only thing I would try not to do is panic.
Mm-hmm. And when you encounter friends or family that you tell your story to and they ask, why didn't you get a picture? I can promise you this, you're going to be shaking in your boots, and there's no way that you're going to be able to hold a camera steady. And for the amount of the briefness of what you see of these things, how fast it is, it's like if you were to go out in your backyard with your iPhone and try to film a bird flying across the sky. If you try zooming in on that, it's going to be a blur. And that's exactly how
you
it
even
is.
can catch
if
it
you
at
could
all.
even catch it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good point. When something really, really big happens, all I want to do is look at it. I had one time this is just anecdotal, but I'm driving home one day from work, and for some reason and we're in an area where the traffic should not be stopped. Absolutely should not be stopped, except for, a traffic accident. So I'm going along, desolate area, driving along, and we're all stopped for some unknown reason. I think I'm at least in the second or third lane over. Got a truck next to me to my right, and I'm driving, and I look up and I go, what the hell is that? What it ended up being was a Chinese, I think it was a Chinese, it was a rocket re-entry or something, part of it. But the way it came down, it was actually coming towards, which would mean north to south. It would be traveling north to south, and it looked like it was traveling towards us, and just in our fixed position. Mm-hmm. And I kept looking at it, and I had a phone. I didn't get out my phone.
Yeah.
I was staring at that thing for 20, 30 seconds as it was burning out. And then unfortunately it got on the other side of the truck. I never saw what happened to it after that. I didn't think to pull out my camera.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this thing going, what the holy hell is that?
Yeah, if you see something where
I could have taken a picture easily, or video even.
If you have no frame of reference of what you're seeing, the last thing you're thinking of is
the last thing you're thinking.
Photography.
1,000%. I apologize again for my dog, you guys. It's just adding atmosphere.
It's atmosphere.
It's
yeah.
atmosphere. Yeah, that's what it is. Let's talk about your druthers. You would consider yourself a researcher, because not only do you get out there, but you're online looking, trying to, you're looking, all the time, right? It's a very interesting subject for you, as is mine. I just don't have your point of reference, but where would you go if you had your top 3 picks? Where would you go? Because you're expecting, at least this is the best guess place to go. No, I don't mean what would you do when you got there, but where would you go?
Well, I never expect these to be so prevalent in Ohio, so I'm biased to that. I think that they're swarming in Ohio.
From what I hear, they are.
I'm just gonna talk about other places that I feel like. East Texas, Sam Houston National Forest, #1. LBL, Tennessee, Kentucky border.
Okay. Which about each one? Why?
Just the amount of reports that come from there, and that. I mean, I because aside from maybe 2 or 3 states that have no reports, we're talking. What was that?
That was the owl.
That was the owl.
Yeah,
okay.
we have a barn owl
Yeah.
lives in our tree, and
Yeah.
it's out hunting.
So, just the reports that I've heard that have intrigued me the most came out of those two places. And then, of course, I've been to Sequoia King Canyon, which have a lot of reports.
Kings Canyon.
And
which is not...
and had something go down there, too, which was...
2.5 to 3 hours to our north.
Yeah.
Due north.
Yeah. But it's beautiful country, and even if you're not looking for Bigfoot, it's definitely someplace you want to camp.
Oh, the trees.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's the
and
beauty of it.
Smells great, looks amazing. Like, you can't take a bad photo there. Those are the places I think that really stand out for me.
So LBL, I read a story one time, and I didn't, honestly, I don't know if it was true. How would I know? But it was a story about a family that went there in an RV, and basically a family got slaughtered. It was a mother, father, and 2 kids, and they found the girl, and she was dead.
Wasn't that a Dogman story?
Well, it could have been. I'm just talking about what
Yeah.
happened there at LBL. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say that.
Yeah, that was a...
You know, that a Bigfoot did it. You know, because I guess there are those stories, but those are sure few and far between.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you know, mayhem. You know, I mean, Dogman's a whole different. That's a whole different podcast, man. That shit.
Yeah, I don't want to run into a Dogman.
No, I don't want to run into a Dogman. Definitely not. They're so big, but because well, you want to go to LBL because it's so prevalent there. Is that the idea, or it's what's going on there? I mean,
yeah, I mean there are a lot of reports. You know, I mean the stuff that dates back furthest, I really like. So like when you look up old newspaper reports, you know, about giant ape man or giant man beasts or whatever,
hairy man,
hairy man attacking hunters or whatever. I pay attention to those, and I've seen a lot come out of there. I mean, obviously, if the terrain is right, it could be really anywhere. I'm sure that there are a lot of hot spots in Oklahoma, South Dakota.
So many states.
I mean, the list goes on and on. Everybody, I'm sure that the people that, if they have any kind of interest in Bigfoot at all, wherever their home state is, that's what they're looking up on. So like when I was in Ohio, I was looking up Ohio reports, and you know, and I found a newspaper article from the 1800s, late 1800s, from it was a New York newspaper actually, about a wild man that attacked a family or whatever. I owned the newspaper. I bought it off of eBay of all places.
oh my god!
And I was like, this is fascinating, because this actually made the newspaper. This was before there was the Bigfoot
So many of
phenomenon.
those reports.
Yeah.
So many of those reports. Trappers. You know, I mean, can you imagine how many freaking people bit it because they didn't know that they shouldn't shoot at them, because that's really what kind of keeps you, seems like, alive, that you're not, you know, trying to.
If you really want to have a lot of success, have a tree stand. Because they only smell from a certain level, and if you're in a tree stand,
they know you're there, but they
might, you know, if they know.
I mean, you know they're there. I'm sorry.
If they've seen your tree stand, they'll know to look there. But if they're just passing through, I mean, a lot of hunters and tree stands have encounters that are quite
Hunters,
frightening.
get a hold of us. We would love to hear from you. Again, it's Area 58 Mysteries, all one word, at Gmail. And we would love to hear from you, and we would love to get your stories on air and or interview you, depending on the situation. And you can remain anonymous, you know. No problem there. We don't have to use your name. We definitely can use a pseudonym or something. Whatever you would like in that situation to bring you out. This might be the thing that you need, you know, to make you feel better. Get it out, all the way out.
And also police officers.
Police officers, yeah.
And firefighters. We want to hear from you.
Yeah. I was a police officer for 20, but boy, never saw anything that. I saw weird shit.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I saw all the awful things people can do to each other, human to human, but I never did see anything along those lines, even though I did have outlining beats. Early on, you get stuck with the outside beats, and anything could have gone on out there. Let's face it. It could have been a dog man out there, you know, and where I was, you know, working. But anyway, that's the majority of what we're going to talk about. Except for I wanted to say something really quickly. This Wolfgang. Oh golly, that was a big one. Wolfgang's first podcast with me. And recently he did a little cross-country trip, and he happened to go by Roswell crash site.
The crash site, yeah.
The crash site. And so what my friend here did, and this is what he thinks of me. Well, two things. He knows I'm a rock hound, and he knows I love the alien. You know, I would say it's a mystery at this time until our government decides to come out with it. But because it's the key to everything, right? The key to unlimited energy, the key to everything unlimited. You know, we wouldn't have hunger anymore. I mean, we would have everything solved if what's true about the situation where, you know, these black operations know they have reversed engineered, and they know how all this energy works. You know. So that's why the keys are sitting here. But this right here is from my friend Ray, who gave it to me, and it is a rock from the Roswell crash site.
That's right.
And although it doesn't look like much, it holds symbolism for me. And like I said, if we could just figure out what's going on with aliens, because I'm super skeptic on that, and this is another podcast. We will talk about aliens ad nauseum. I mean, we love this stuff. You know, we research all these things, aliens, ghosts. You know, I'm a ghost hunter, and so there's all kinds of stuff. But I got this sucker, and I'm so happy. And so what I did was I traded him a huge, really fat, beautiful, clear crystal. Mm-hmm. So I traded him for the rock, although he didn't ask me for it. I gave it to him.
It was a good trade.
A good trade. And I got this sitting over here. I can't show it to you guys right now, but I have it sitting with all the other crystals inside another gift. Someone gave me a Native American bowl that was made out of rock from Northern California, about 5 feet down. They were digging out a burl wood, walnut. A walnut burl. Hello, I said that right finally. And 5 feet down, they found this bowl, and I showed it to him, and it's so cool. It was obviously in red dirt because the outside is colored, but I put this in there again because I like it, and it's a good spot for it, and it's good energy. But on that note, thank you very much, little patches. Just keep right on up.
He said this conversation's over.
She said to you, Mama. Anyway, I want to thank my guest, Wolfgang Moser. He's a good friend of mine, and I've been wanting to get him on here to tell his story to you guys because, well, I mean, how many people do you know that's actually seen Bigfoot that that you instantly believed because you trusted the person? I mean, that's kind of cool. I'm sure you all are feeling that way, those of you that had experience. And anyway, and thank you for having a libation with us. Hopefully you did, and that was very good, dude. Bottoms up. I'm gonna kill it. And I would like to thank you guys for being with us. We're gonna be back again. I promise this time I'm going to duct tape the dog. No, I won't do that. I'll just give her a toy or something to eat.
Tranquilizer.
Yeah, tranquilizer. Nah. She's doing this because it's nighttime. We're out here and she's hearing things. And normally I do these podcasts during the day when she's not going to be out listening to coyotes. So again, thank you so much for going along with us. This is Area 58 Mysteries. I'm your host, Teresa Parker, and this is Wolfgang Moser, and he has told you your Bigfoot story. Hit that like and subscribe, you guys, please, and thank you. And we will see you again. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right, let's go.